We're thrilled to have welcomed our first grandbaby recently. But growing this precious human hasn't been easy on our daughter. The unrelenting pregnancy fatigue really took it out of her.
One thing that helped was keeping her fluids up, and she loved Rehydrate. Rehydrate is an essential electrolyte drink made by some great guys right here in Brizzy. It's safe during pregnancy and breastfeeding and is like a magical little energy and hydration boost for mum and bub.
If you're growing a little human or are just feeling a little run down, grab some at Coles today.
This is the Happy Families podcast with Dr. Justin Coulson. We're Luke and Susie, a husband and wife radio team with 3 young boys. This is the podcast for the time-poor parent who just wants some answers now.
I constantly find myself getting angry with my kids, going, oh, no, I've got to stop, or otherwise I'll have to confess this to Justin. I can't do it. And he's in my head every time I'm getting mad too quickly. He joins us to talk about that topic right now. Dr. Justin Coulson, hello.
I'm waiting for the forgive me, Father, for I've sinned sort of thing coming here. I feel like I'm in confessional all of a sudden.
You feel that way.
I love the phrasing of this because we're talking about turning anger around.
Yep.
And I really like it because at my kids' prep class, they talk about turning their choices around. And so if they make a bad choice, they've got to turn their choices around to make a good choice. So I like the phrasing of it. It works for me. Yeah. It's consistent with my life, Dr. Justin.
Yeah, I'm really pleased that we're tapping into that for you. I think that there's some pretty strong biblical reasons for us to step away from anger. I like how it says in Matthew chapter 5 that who is angry with his brother will be in danger of the judgment. Jesus says that we're not supposed to be angry. The really interesting thing there is it says without a cause. He who is angry without a cause will be in danger of it. But if we look at earlier translations of the scriptures, we find that was inserted by someone who obviously had a problem with what Jesus said and thought, well, surely there's a reason every now and again. There is no cause. Jesus' teaching is quite clearly we should not be angry with our brother or with our child. And if you look at what Paul said, we're supposed to raise our children with nurture and with love and there's so many scriptures that tell us, fruits of the Spirit. Anger is not one of the fruits of the Spirit. If we're raising our children with the Spirit guiding us, we shouldn't be angry at them, even when they challenge us and do stuff that is wrong.
So we understand that being angry with our kids is not what we want to do, although sometimes they do things which infuriate us. They give us reason. So how do we turn it around, though? Because we know it's not how we want to act. What we say and what we do when we're angry is not the parents that we want to be. How do we turn it around?
Let me give you 4 solutions. Here's my first one. Pretend that you're Aunt Mary. Because you know how Aunt Mary never gets cranky at the kids. She always finds a way to be kind and to smile at them when they do that thing. And Aunt Mary actually loves the one who is the biggest challenge. She'll say, I'm allowed to have a favourite, and that one is my favourite, even though that's the one that you just go, oh, my goodness, this kid is killing me. Pretend that you're Aunt Mary. Just be her for a moment when your child's challenging you. Or if that's not going to work for you, pretend that the child who is challenging you is one of your neighbour's children and you can't send them home.
Yes.
Yes. We are calmer with them, aren't we? Hey, but just back to the Aunt Mary thing for a second. Am I allowed to actually have an Aunt Mary costume? That
you know what? If Susie's okay with that and you feel comfortable with that, and the stockings don't get caught in your leg hairs, then you get dressed up as Aunt Mary and walk out. In fact, that's a really nice way to sort of segue into my second idea.
Well, let's get that segue underway. Up next, as we're talking about turning your anger around, it is the Happy Families podcast with Dr. Justin Coulson. More next.
Everyone wants their family to be happy, but so much gets in the way. Work stress, commitments, and our children's challenging behaviour are some of the usual suspects. And we can all tidy up our parenting style and get clearer about what will actually make our family happier. 21 Days to a Happier Family is the best-selling parenting book by Dr. Justin Coulson, with answers to both common and complicated parenting problems. Combining cutting-edge scientific insights with real examples of family life in the trenches, you'll find dozens of strategies for making your family happier. 21 Days to a Happier Family. Available online and from booksellers everywhere and at happyfamilies.com.au.
It's the Happy Families podcast with Dr. Justin Coulson, and today we are talking about turning your anger around. You have 4 solutions for us, Justin. The first one you've given us is to pretend that we are Aunt Mary. Point number 2?
My second idea is that we need to use humour more. You know, in those challenging situations when we're getting really, really stressed, humour can be the most wonderful way to reduce the stress and take away the anger. I'll give you an example. A couple of mornings ago, my children were going crazy. Things were not good, and one of them did something that was particularly upsetting. It was really, really bad, and I just felt in my soul I was about to explode and take it out on this child. And we were in the kitchen. I grabbed, the dishwashing gloves, the rubber gloves that you use for the dishes, or once upon a time before we had dishwashers, we used them. There was one of those on the bench. I picked it up and I stretched it in my hands. I was thinking I was going to hurt her with it, and I had an idea. So I stretched it even more, and I pulled it over my head, pulled it down over my eyes until it covered my nose. I put my hands on my ears so that the glove was really attached to my head very firmly. And then I said, I'm so angry, I think I'm going to explode. And then I breathed out through my nose, and I kept on breathing in through my mouth and out through my nose, and the glove was getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I said, by now this glove is so big that if anybody's nearby, they're going to get hammered with this. And we turned it into this great big joke, and eventually the glove exploded in the kitchen. And then I looked at the kids and I said, I shouldn't do that before unless I've blown my nose next time. And everyone just thought it was the funniest, most disgusting thing ever. But it completely changed the situation. I remember one time I was arguing with one of my siblings, and my mum made us lay down and stare at the ceiling. We're not allowed to look at each other. We had to argue with each other while staring at the ceiling. We ended up in stitches. A good friend of mine, his daughter was on her L plates. She missed a corner completely, and she ended up crashing into the bottom of a sign at a petrol station, the big sort of BP, Shell, whatever, Caltex sign. She just crashed into the bottom of this sign. The whole family was in the car. This friend of mine, he looked at his daughter, and then he looked at everyone in the back seat of the car, and then he smiled and said, well, while we're here, does anyone need anything to eat? And when we use humour to diffuse anger, when we use humour, what we do is we take all the tension out of the situation. We calm everybody down instantly, and then we say, all right, do we really need to talk about this, or can we just move on and make our families what they're supposed to be? It's a wonderful way to turn away from anger.
When you're the one feeling a little bit irritated and angry, it's not necessarily natural for you to be funny at that particular point in time. How do you suddenly get your funny genes out?
Well, that's where we sort of probably move on to the next idea, and that is that when we're starting to get upset, I have a mantra that I repeat again and again and again. I'm going to be calm and kind. I'm going to be calm and kind. I'm going to be calm and kind. I just keep saying it until I can be calm and kind. And as we can soothe ourselves, as we can regulate our own emotions, we can actually find funny things to do. I'll pull out just an old joke, or I'll go to tickle somebody, or I don't know, just do something. When the kids aren't cleaning up their room, sometimes I'll put on an accent, and I'll become Colonel Clink from Stalag 13 or whatever, Hogan's Heroes.
Yeah.
Right, that is it. And the accent comes out, and all of a sudden the kids think that it's fun and funny. When things aren't working right, we can use some music to change things, not the angry music, but some fun music, and get everybody in a great mood by putting on everyone's favourite song. These are just some really simple strategies to turn away anger. I think the best one of all, a hard one, but the best one of all is when our kids are ticking us off. Instead of getting furious, we should get curious.
Ooh. Not only good because it sounds wise, but it rhymes.
I like the rhyming, yeah.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. We should understand, not reprimand. Do you like that?
He keeps bringing them. Come on.
But what happens here is, our children don't wake up in the morning and think, how can I make life horrible for my parents? they might be having a hard time. And if they're challenging us, it's not necessary for us to get mad. We just need to work out what's going on in their lives and then see if we can help them to solve those needs that are now not being met.
Well, Dr. Justin Coulson from happyfamilies.com.au, thank you so much for your time. And don't get furious, get curious. Oh.
Don't reprimand. Reprimand. Understand.
Understand.
Understand. I was getting there.
Why don't you go for a dance in French?
Thank you, Dr. Justin.
Bye-bye.
For more info and all of Justin's books, podcasts and programs, you can jump online to happyfamilies.com.au and to find out how to have Justin speak at your school, or you can come along to your organisation as well, go to justincoulson.com.